everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this stained glass pop-up card. So I'm starting out with the custom ornament from thin cut from close to my heart, and I've cut the ornament with all of the inserts out of white daisy cardstock. I'm going to be using the Ranger transparent texture paste and the candy apple re-inker. So I scoop out a bit of the texture paste and make sure it's the transparent texture paste. That's key to making the stained glass look. And then just add a few drops of re-inker and mix it all together, and then spread it over the die cut ornament and just spread everything out and try to get it an even layer in all those nooks and crannies. And get all that covered up and filled in. And after that's all set, I'm going to remove everything from my workspace, and you do have to let it dry overnight, at least. So now we'll create our pop-up card. You start out with a piece of white daisy cardstock, and that is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm using a piece of the mix-in papers, and that is cut at 2 3/8 by 4. And as always, I will list all of my cut measurements below, along with all of my supplies with links. I'm applying this, or adhering this, with my Bonding Memories broad tip glue pen. We'll get that down. And I'll smooth it out with my bone folder. And then you put it in your trimmer, and we are going to cut sort of a U-shaped cut, and it'll be 3/4 of an inch on all borders, on all sides of that cut. So you drop your blade down 3/4 of an inch down, and then cut from 3/4 to 4.5 inches. And then you turn your cardstock and do the opposite side, the same measurements. So you're not cutting from end to end, you're cutting from a space 3/4 of an inch in. And then you connect those two lines at the base of your card, and it's also 3/4 of an inch in. So you'll have that flap that's cut from your white daisy cardstock. And then you go in and with your scoring tool, and I just use the track in my trimmer, and you connect those two cuts by scoring. So the middle score is at 2 7/8, and then the bottom score is at 1 1/4. So I have all my cardstock scored, and I'm going to go ahead and fold everything to make my pop-up element. So the bottom one is towards you, the middle one is away from you, and the top one is towards you when you fold. I've cut a tag from an older thin cut set called, it's a close to my heart set called Fancy Tags. Make sure that your tag is cut at 3 by 4.5, and it could be any shape of tag. It's easier when the top portion of it is cut shaped so that when you slide it out, the corners of it won't catch. So I'm decorating the top of my tag, and I'm using stamps from the Holiday Cheer collection. I'm using the Candy Cane from Traditional and Merry & Bright from Whimsical. And you don't have to stamp your tag, you can leave it blank. You can decorate it with patterned paper, whatever you decide. So got that stamped, And then I'm going to stamp the bottom of the white daisy portion of the card. And I'm using Holiday Trimmings, the stamp set. I'm using the candy canes. I'm going to stamp that with candy apple as well. I've put a piece of scratch paper underneath to catch the edges because the stamp is wider than the piece of cardstock that I'm stamping on. And then I'll clean that off with the stamp chamois. And now I'm going to add double-sided tape to the bottom flap and then around the edges in a U shape, and make sure that you place the tape all the way to the edge because you don't want the adhesive interfering with the slide action of your card. So you put it around all those three sides. And my card base is candy apple cardstock with the fold at the top. And then I'll take a piece of copy paper, and I'm using this as a stabilizer to keep the tag from floating around and to make it slide out straight. And you need lightweight paper to create this. So it's cut at 1/2 inch by 7 inches, and I'm just wrapping it loosely around the tag. And then you take a 1-inch circle punch and punch a half circle at the top so that you have a place for the top of your tag to stick out. Then you take your stabilizer and place that at the top as well, and a portion of it will cover that half circle. But you do it in this order because the punch, it's really hard to punch through all the layers of paper. So you place your stabilizer at the very top, and it's above that fold so it doesn't interfere with the fold. And then you go back and you punch again to make that half circle. So I'm getting ready to adhere it to my card base. And before I do that, you slide your tag in through the stabilizer and then pull that adhesive protective covering off that bottom tab and connect it to the bottom of your tag. And that creates your pop-up action. So then you adhere everything to the front of your card base and you leave a border around the edges. And then you've got your sliding action happening there. And then I'm going to stamp inside, so when you slide up the front of the card, there will be a sentiment underneath. I'm using the Merry Christmas sentiment from the Merry Christmas Tree stamp set, and I'm also using the frame, the small stamps to create the frame around the Merry Christmas sentiment. I'm stamping everything in black ink. They've got this frame broken down into dashes and dots, and you puzzle it together to make that framed Merry Christmas sentiment. So that's underneath, and through the magic of YouTube, my ornament is dry and I'm ready to apply it to the front of the card. So I've cut another ornament with white daisy cardstock to cover up the dried texture paste piece, and I'm going to adhere this with Aqua Tombow glue and kind of sandwich everything together. And then I will apply this to my card with a piece of foam tape. So when you slide your card open, you'll be able to see through it because it'll pop up. So off screen, I've fussy cut, stamped and fussy cut holly and berries. Now I'm deciding which topper to use, and I've landed on a red glitter paper topper to attach to the top of my ornament. And the holly berries I've colored in with the Spectrum Noir markers, the dull green, and then I've used red stickles to create the holly berries. And I'm going to apply that with a glue dot. And now I'm deciding which color to use for the shimmer trim. And I've landed on the red shimmer trim. Sometimes when I'm designing a card, I just kind of choose my colors and take a let's see what happens approach. And so once I get the red shimmer trim down, I can always take it off and replace it and put the black down if I had changed my mind, but once I got it down I thought it looked pretty good. So that's what I went with. And I didn't measure, I just kind of eyeballed it, and you can always trim off the excess. So my card is all finished, and it has the sliding action, and then later on I can put a sentiment on the inside of the card. I appreciate you taking some time today and watching my video. I hope you give this technique a try. Please hit that subscribe button so you'll be able to find all of my videos. And thanks for watching.